Chapter 25, Exploratorium. With thoughts of finally revealing the truth to his family whirling through his mind, Faddy felt the train slow as it entered West Oakland Station, the last stop in the East Bay before entering the city. After picking up additional passengers, the train slipped into a tunnel that angled downward. For a moment the lights flickered and the passengers were plunged into darkness. Faddy gripped his seat, feeling a little claustrophobic. The lights flickered back on and the train shot forward. "Oh, I think I'm going to be sick," thought Faddy, glancing upward. There was a gazillion tons of water sloshing overhead. "It's okay, Faddy," whispered Anne. She patted his hand. "Think about it. It's like our art project, 20,000 leagues under the sea. We're on a submarine, the Nautilus." Faddy gave a dry chuckle, the tension in his body easing a bit, and within minutes the train popped up on dry land and slowed into Embarcadero Station. From there, Miss Bethuna guided her charges to the Mooney stop, where they caught the number 4 tram to the Marina District. "I just love the city," breathed Anne. With her nose pressed against the window, she soaked up the action outside. The city was beautiful, decked out for the holiday. Bright coloured lights sparkled from the trees, while storefronts competed with one another to be the most festive with their decorations. "It's too crowded for me," said Faddy. He eyed the throngs of shoppers marching down the sidewalk, arms overflowing with packages. "I need green open spaces." "But there's so much happening," said Anne. "So many things to see, to do and to eat." "The weather's too wacky," said Faddy. He eyed the fog, which still sat in a thick layer atop the Bank of America building, blocking out the sun. Back in Oakland, the sun had been shining. They bickered amicably about the merits of living in the city until the tram stopped and Miss Bethuna herded them off. "See?" said Anne. "Green spaces." "Wow," breathed Faddy. He stepped down from the bottom step and blinked in surprise. Across the street stood a majestic domed Greek temple, situated on the banks of a winding shallow lagoon. Swans moved gracefully through the reeds past rosy stone columns. "Ta-da!" said Anne. "The Palace of Fine Arts." "It's awesome," said Faddy. He retied his scarf against the chill and followed the group along Palace Drive. The entrance to the museum was at the rear of the Palace of Fine Arts on Lion Street, 2 blocks up. The colourful sign announcing the Exploratorium hung over a series of tall oval doors. Miss Bethuna collected the group at the entrance and handed them their tickets and name tags. Faddy stuck his tag on his chest as Arm pointed to the plaque on the ground. It read, "Founded in 1969 by the physicist Dr. Frank Oppenheimer." "Totally brilliant man," said Arne. "He and his brother worked on a top-secret project to make the atom bomb during World War II. "Man, she is so Claudia," thought Faddy with a grin. "Come along, gang," said Miss Bethuna with a wide smile. They skipped through a set of glass doors and headed past the information booth to the vast foyer inside. "Wow," thought Faddy. It was the largest room he'd ever been in, well, besides the arrival hall at San Francisco Airport. Arrows directed guests to hundreds of hands-on scientific exhibits. A large sign stood at the centre announcing the photography competition and exhibit. Faddy followed Miss Bethuna and the others through the cavernous space until they reached the exhibition hall. He stepped inside and eyed dozens of huge photographs set up on easels. Other pictures hung from the ceilings or were mounted on boards. Hundreds of kids milled around, talking, laughing and inspecting the winning entries. "Okay guys, we'll meet in half an hour at that column over there," said Miss Bethuna, pointing to the right corner. "We'll go to the awards ceremony together in the next room. After refreshments, we'll head home at 2 o'clock. So scoot, go and have fun. Now, Anne, I believe you have to report to the judges." "Okay," said Anne. She turned to Faddy. "I'll find out what they want and then come look for you." "No problem," said Faddy. He watched as she rushed over to the reception table. San Francisco City Councilman Henry Watson shook her hand as she fidgeted in excitement. Though Faddy was happy for her, he couldn't help feel but a little bit envious. He loosened his scarf and pulled off his mittens, which he stuffed in his coat pocket. Alone, he wandered over to the winner's circle. He checked out Arne's shot. It was huge, nearly 4 feet by 6. Her name and school were written at the bottom. You could see every detail of the dancers in motion. He was struck again by the emotion radiating off the paper. He circled left to the third-place winner. Emily Johnston had taken a picture of a tiny kitten sitting on top of a St. Bernard's head. The shot was cropped well. The St. Bernard's eyes looked up, while the kitten looked down, drawing the viewer's eyes to the expression on their faces. Cute, but predictable. He crossed back to see the first-place photo by Marcus Saal. He'd taken a picture of an ancient redwood standing solemnly against the backdrop of the Pacific Ocean. Cool. Faddy peered closely at the tree's winding roots pushing up from the rich soil. You could almost smell the salty air coming off the waves. Very cool. But a first-place winner? I don't know, but heck, I'm not the judge. The grand prize winner, Philbert Dewberry from Calvert High School, stood as proud as a peacock next to his winning shot. Every so often he straightened his bow tie and grinned with a perfect pearl-white teeth. "Congratulations," said Faddy. "Thanks," said Philbert, puffing out his chest. Faddy moved away as the group of girls approached them. He stood next to the winning picture and whistled in appreciation. He could see why it had been chosen. A creative action shot, it showed a skydiver falling backward in a wide expanse of crystalline sky. You could see the plane's door, which created a really cool 3D effect. The expression on the skydiver's face was really funny. All the elements were there: simplicity, composition, and lighting. "Don't be a sore loser," he reminded himself, and moved on toward a line of photographs on the side wall. The sign above the board read "Top 50 Shots." Nice, he thought, starting at the top. There were amazing pictures, some silly, some serious, some sad and intense. At the bottom left-hand corner he spotted Dada handing Abe a rose, and his pulse quickened. He bent closer to see the soft shadows created by the hazy light at dusk. At least I made it into the top 50. "That was one of my favourites," said a deep voice behind him. Faddy jumped in surprise and turned around. "Sorry, I didn't mean to startle you," said the grey-moustached man. He wore a faded tweed jacket and jeans. Faddy recognised him from his picture. It was Clive Murray. Hello," said Faddy with a gulp. "Mr. Murray?" "Call me Clive," he said with a smile. He looked at Faddy's badge. "Ah, so you're Faddy, huh?" Yes," said Faddy. "Well, I really like the way you framed the shot. You can see that the subjects don't even know they're being photographed." "Thanks," said Faddy, his insides warming. "Personally, I love portrait shots. Wherever I am, even in the turbulent war zones or battlefields, I always stop to take pictures of people. People's faces reveal the real story to me." "It wasn't easy," said Faddy. "The lighting was a challenge." "Lighting can be your friend or foe," Clive chuckled. Faddy nodded. "Especially at dusk." "You should keep practicing and take some risks," said Clive. "Making mistakes will help you learn." "I still make mistakes to this day." "Really?" said Faddy. He couldn't imagine Clive making mistakes. "Come on, I'll show you. I put together some stuff for you kids to look at, to learn from." Faddy followed Clive to the table in the back. A Société Géographique banner stretched along the front. "Those are some of my latest pictures from my last trip to Africa and Asia," said Clive, pointing to a large album. "Now let me look for that humdinger of a shot where I cut someone's head off." Faddy smiled and flipped open the album. The first picture showed a group of women wading through a rice paddy as bombs went off in the distant mountains. "You have to eat, even during war," thought Faddy sadly. The next picture revealed a militia group carrying machetes marching down the road in some dusty African country. Faddy blinked in surprise at the next shot. A young man wearing a black turban standing with a rifle. The photo next to it was of a group of women in stained blue burqas walking along a dirt road. "Where were these taken?" asked Faddy, his voice soft. "Along the Pakistan-Afghan border," said Clive. "I was covering the recent outbreak of fighting there." "Oh," said Faddy, his voice subdued. He turned the page. His eyes widened and his breath froze in his lungs. The picture showed a refugee camp. Transfixed, he stared down at the group of children playing, framed by a group of tents. One of the girls clutched a doll, wearing a stained and torn hot pink burqa.